Call this meeting to order. If you would join me in the flag salute. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You'd join me in a prayer. Father God, we just thank you for the ability to be here tonight, and we pray that all that we do glorifies you. We pray that you'll be with us as we consider issues that are facing our community tonight. Pray that you will give us wisdom and discernment that we can make decisions that will provide better opportunities and for our citizens here in Kingfisher. Pray that you will bless us as we go through this meeting. Pray that you will bless us in the future of the city, and pray that you'll be with those that are hurting. Pray that we all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. First item on the agenda is item 2, the consent docket. We're going to do the consent docket, right?
Yeah.
Consent docket. Any questions, comments, or is
You
there?
didn't do a roll call.
Oh, we do need a roll call. I'm sorry. I jumped right in.
Dawn, Jeff Cobalt,
Here.
Kyle Mecklenburg, Jeff Whitrock,
Here.
Amy Sammons. Here.
Okay. On the consent docket, item 2.
Give me go ahead. I'll have to just take it. I'm not cutting up. So go.
Okay. Okay. Any questions, concerns, anything we need to pull out in regards to the consent docket? If not, we have a motion.
Motion to approve consent docket.
Second.
Yes, for me.
Jeff Whitrock.
Yes.
Consent docket is approved. The next item on the agenda is item 3A. Discussion possible action to approve resolution 2025-006 to submit a letter of application for the municipal road drilling activity funds. We have,
Mr. Manick is here, who drafted that resolution and has been working behind the scenes to get this thing ready. Steve, once we submit this, tomorrow's the deadline,
Yes, sir.
and then are they gonna let us know 30 days later?
So the applications will be reviewed and they will be recommended to the ODOT Commission in February.
February of 26?
Yes, sir.
question in regards to that. I mean, obviously, the project that you're designing currently is well underway. We expect to deliver that in the next month or two.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Is there any problem with that as far as that ODOT approving that later?
No, I mean, what we've done is we'll still finish the plans because the plans are what the plans are going to be. What we did is we did increase some of the quantities in there because you get a maximum of $500,000 for that grant for some additional items, curb and gutter repair, driveway removal, things of that nature. So we want to make sure and maximize that grant if we're able to get it. So yes, what we'd like to do, if the commission wants, the plans will be ready to go. Typically, we will find out more if the city is awarded the project. Then there's going to be, of course, some agreements between the city and ODOT. But typically, from what I was told, is the city would probably still be able to let the project move forward with it and then get reimbursed for it. So again, it's 75-25% match. So it's would save the city a tremendous amount of funding. But we would have it ready to go whether it's approved or not approved.
So it's not going to slow us down as far as our project.
We would probably bid it later this year, here within the next, say, 60 days. So there would be a couple month lag time there, but December is probably not the best time to put asphalt out on the road if we have some weather. So what this would probably do would put it maybe to May, depending on if it's awarded or not. If it's not awarded, then we'd be putting it out to advertisement in February for a March award and probably an April construction, which would be a good time as well. So it will cause a little bit of a delay from when the plans are ready now, a few months, but it's over the winter, so it's not too bad. But I'm sure
Last year, we got the money way ahead before we went out to bid, put a project out on the street.
Right.
We'd applied for it a couple of years
Yeah.
prior to that. So
So I've talked to the ODOT coordinator on this, and again, that's why I knew tomorrow was the deadline. I asked when the decisions would be made, and she did tell me February is when they anticipate recommending to the commission the successful cities.
And you feel because we have so many oil fields in our area, or
Can't guarantee anything, but our maps that we put together for this, there are 2,000 oil wells within a 10-mile radius, which is what they request in the application. This is a major bus route for the junior high and high school. It's got rutting, shoving, alligator cracking, potholes, you name it. Every bit of pavement out there needs to be rehabbed, which is what they also look at. In fact, I was out there before the meeting taking pictures, so I can send them all the pictures along with the application. I asked what their criteria was, and they would not give me their list, but I did say there are 2,000 oil wells, and that kind of caused a pause in the conversation because that is a tremendous amount of oil wells.
And because we've gotten one in the past doesn't prohibit us from.
Did not say that there was anything that would keep you from getting another one.
Do you have any questions?
The 1-year calendar,
Mhm.
I think there's a calendar timeline.
The-
Does that start when it's awarded or
Yes,
what
for-
application?
From basically, again, that would be in the contract that ODOT signs. Once it's awarded, there would be a contract, and that contract say it has to be complete within 1 year. Once the city is awarded and that contract signed here, we'll put it out to bid. This is probably a 60-day contract. We'd probably be done within 3 months.
I don't foresee that being an issue, but that calendar starts at signature.
It
And
would-
award?
probably when the signature from the commission gets sent back to the commission, the
Okay.
ODOT commission.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
I will make a motion to approve item A for resolution 2025-006.
Second. Everybody should be open.
Oh, we are?
Yes.
Okay. So that motion carries. Do we have a motion to recess and move?
I will motion we recess and move to public works.
Second. All in favor, say
Aye.
When she's ready.
Okay, we're now convened as the special Kingfisher Public Works meeting. First item on the agenda there is the consent docket. I don't think there's anything in there but minutes.
Oh, but minutes. Okay, I will approve, make motion to approve consent docket.
Second.
Consent docket is approved. We'll move on to the next item, presentation by Mark Long from SRB. Mr. Long.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Earlier this year in the summer, we made a presentation to you on a combined effort, excuse me, that the city had hired us along with Park Hill and team to do a 10-year CIP. As part of that program, we identified in the wastewater area that you have approximately $32 million in needs for your water and wastewater system. There's an opportunity with the Oklahoma Water Resources Board, and you'll be considering that with your financial advisor here in a moment. but there's an opportunity to go after a loan with the Oklahoma Water Resources Board, and we were asked to put together from that master list what would be the highest priority projects. Out of that list, and we'll go over this on your slide. I'll refer you to it, but we're looking at the wastewater treatment plant. The Headworks project was the highest scoring on that 10-year CIP as far as critical need. The second highest was the well field instrumentation and controls, which is how you control your well operations. The third project is a water system hydraulic analysis system-wide, and I'll go into that in a moment, and then also a wastewater sanitary sewer evaluation system. So if you can flip to your package, the city manager asked me to kind of go through this. If you have questions, let's just stop and ask me. I'll try to not go too fast, but that way we want you comfortable with what's going to be before you as far as this loan application goes. So first is the hydraulic water model. Currently, you do not have a water model. Therefore, it is impossible for you to analyze and determine future growth, future development, current situations in the operational side. All of the issues that you have in water pressure in areas without a water model and an analysis, you can't really address that out in the field with your public works staff. So we'll be looking at both your in and outside city customer potential. This will be done in InfoWater, which will be owned by the city. As far as the model, it's going to be based off of the GIS system that you've previously developed. We will be determining what the existing and the future water system scenarios are. We'll also be able to determine what the available fire flow will be and try to identify potential areas of low water pressure and where you have inadequate water flow. On the next slide, these will allow for extensions to existing water lines. It will allow for future development to occur. It'll determine a priority list, and it will also identify an opinion of probable cost. I think one of the things that operationally that's about this project, we will actually be putting pressure meters out throughout the city. We will identify what that pressure is, and then that way those can be used to identify the problem areas that you have. The next part of it is the sanitary sewer evaluation study. So on the third slide, it's a combination of manhole inspections where you have problems with manholes having inflow and infiltration. Smoke testing, which you can see in the lower left, will identify cross connections where people may have tied in swimming pool drains or anything else into your sewer system that is causing problems to increase the amount of flow to your wastewater plant, which is a big problem. And then if you look to the right, on the upper right, there's the CCTV. So there's a TV camera that goes through the lines, but as part of that, they will be cleaning your lines. And I don't think you guys have really done any cleaning of the lines in any time at all. So once that's done, and we have some heavy cleaning involved in that as well, in case we have blockages and things like that. So the work plan on that is you start by identifying the manholes. You inspect the manholes, then you run the CCTV camera through and you do cleaning as you're going. Then we'll do smoke testing throughout the system, and then that will develop recommendations and problems that are identified so that you can specifically know what sanitary sewer lines are a problem, and they can be prioritized. The next slide. There is a role for Public Works in this project, so your city staff will be sitting down and confirming the field investigation, the manholes. We're going to definitely be needing their help in getting out there and notifying the public as far as when we're accessing backyards and things like that. We will roll out a GIS web portal that you will not have to understand GIS in order to be able to use that map.
So in regards to that, and I saw, we already have a GIS system. All
Yeah.
of these manholes are already pre-identified. So I would expect that y'all would work with our GIS provider.
Right.
Okay.
And we're bringing that into the model, the wastewater model, and then it will also be able to be used on a kind of a web access that you don't have to know or have a license for Esri for that. Right now, the only people that can really access your GIS without knowing some of it is somebody that has the Esri license. So we're going to make
We're
it.
not using Esri though. He's using something different than
Okay.
Esri. So our public works is already involved in some of that. And they already have some
Okay.
iPads and things, I believe, that we've provided.
So if we have 5 iPads in there, if you don't need them, we don't, but we're at least wanting them to be able to not just even though the sanitary sewer is funding that, at least your water and wastewater folks can use them. So then we'll go out and identify the findings, and then the city staff could probably do minor repairs on the sewer system based off of this on a maintenance type basis.
So for the council, for those that aren't familiar with the CCTV,
Yeah.
that goes in and shows you where the roots are, if sewer lines have collapsed. I mean, it's very advanced when you see it. I don't know how they did it 50 years ago, but I've been impressed with when I've seen the work product.
And it'll identify illegal connections,
Yeah.
and it'll also determine if you have flows that are cross-connected from
Yeah.
storm sewer, which is possible as well.
So it's money well spent to have that done, because it definitely gives you a clear understanding of what's under the ground.
Will that process only work with what's public property or private property also?
So the CCTV, they'll go into the manholes that are in public right of way. They will run that. It will identify services, and it'll have footage markers on it, so we can identify whether or not everyone that has a service line,
Okay.
you'll be able to identify based on customer base, do they even have a utility customer license to be on that line?
Okay.
The smoke testing will identify both on the public right of way, but that smoke will come up through the ground, and it would identify if they've got like yard drains,
Mhm.
swimming pool drains, other things that might be connected to your sanitary.
Okay.
All of this needs to reduce the flow of sanitary to your headworks to your wastewater treatment plant. When Park Hill did the analysis on that, you're treating way more stormwater than you need to be doing at your wastewater plant.
At
And that
certain-
will
at certain peaks.
At certain peak periods, yes.
Our wastewater treatment plant is rated at 800,000 gallons. And there's sometimes during a heavy rainstorm, we're doing 2 million, 2.5 million
Right.
gallons,
Right.
which is 3 times our capacity.
Yeah, and even on a low flow, a small, like a low frequency rainfall, you're at 1.2, 1.3, according to Park Hill. So, and where that costs you is that's going to cost you in the headworks and in everything else if we can. You don't need to build this next project on the headworks for peaks that are up in 2 million if we can reduce the flow eventually. So. So on the wastewater, we'll put flow meters. There'll also be flow meters that'll be moved around into the system so we can actually identify what your flows are, and then we'll build a dry weather model and then a wet weather model for both. And then if you look at this page, this isn't Kingfisher. I just did a screenshot from any city in America there, and you would actually see the manholes, and then you'll have the flow expectations for the various basins within the city. Then on the next page, you can see there.
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
Mr. Long.
Yes.
In regards to that, not only will you see flow expectations, but your pipe sizes and your capacity for that will
Correct.
be also
Right.
identified.
And that kind of goes to the next slide on the next page. You can see where we'll be able to color code, where you're overflowing the pipe sizes that you have. Like say in red, that would be exceeding the flow versus the purple would be within the flow range that you have. And that's again, the strength of doing the CCTV. And this is a lot of money, but this will be money that you'll be able to use. And that's why we're recommending this as part of this program is you'll be able to know the diameter of these pipes that you may not know what they are. You don't know if they're ductile iron or PVC. Those are all things that are kind of a guess right now. Yes.
So when you were saying earlier about the system that you have, like anybody would be able to basically understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So even with this mapping and all that stuff, like we went and have our guys need special training, they would just, it would be like a generic.
Our goal
figure it
is
out.
to have both the water master model and the wastewater model will be accessible through your GIS. Okay. And then that way the public works staff can then update things as they're going along.
If they're doing repairs or
Right.
something breaks.
Right.
You know.
And then the model can be updated. Now, we're not expecting them to update the model. We can always come in and update the model based on projects that happen, but at least they would be able to go out in the field and identify, well, this is a line break, this is the size of the pipe and what it needs to be. And again, both these models and planning will help us to secure funding in the future is what we're looking at. Okay, then if you'll flip to the next page, the most critical project, and this you approved at your last regular meeting a preliminary engineering study by Park Hill, and so if you'll flip to this, there's the background. A new wastewater headwork facility, and that will address the issues at the plant that are malfunctioning, that are allowing trash and other debris to interfere with your downstream treatment process. You have issues of clogging and pump problems and disinfection problems. All of this will allow for the headworks to operate more effectively. I think it's also important that you have an existing clean water OWRB clean water loan that's still out there. There's surplus funds there that you can't access. And if we do this project, then you'll be able to use part of those funds to help fund this, and then you'll be able to do other projects as well. So,
And that's 1.1 million that was not used on the last project. And that interest rate is at 1.88%. So we need to get,
you need to spend that money
Yeah.
and use
we
that.
got to get the DEQ to release it, and
Yeah.
they won't until we get this done.
Right. And then number 2, and I'll say this, the wellfield INC or instrumentation controls. This will allow your public works staff to access and control the groundwater wells and the operations remotely. It will also allow them to actually optimize the use of those wells. Right now, they're having to kind of just adjust on the fly as they're going along.
So in regards to that, last month, and we've known about this for a while, Pioneer abandoning the copper lines.
Mm-hmm.
How is this all going to be fiber? How's this going to run?
Most of this now is wireless.
Oh, okay.
And so it will require to have like an internet, like a hotspot wirelessly, and then they'll be controlled wirelessly. So there's not going to be, fiber lines in the ground connecting all this. So
Is that going to be when does Pioneer abandon those?
What did they tell you? It was in our notes.
Steve, did they tell us December?
They want to in December.
I heard January, but then I heard today that they're getting pushed to maybe do that sooner.
So are you controlled right now?
Copper.
Like
Copper.
okay, well, this will you will be wireless going forward with this project. So
And Steve, aren't you looking at some opportunities to maybe reduce that total cost? With some technology.
We're looking with another group out of Texas. I just was inquiring about it based off the same thing he's talking about. It's all wireless.
It was all
Brought to
single.
a server and not having to have a license for SCADA or anything to view and control those.
So what Park Hill will do is they will design you a system that then can be bid out for instrumentation and controls. So you probably need to time this, and
Yeah.
we need Park Hill to do that design, and then that way you can bring in vendors to install things. So
But there may have to be an interim piece here between the he may have his eyes on.
that is
You're not going to get this done.
Correct.
no right, and so that's something that probably with Travis Archer at Park Hill, you guys, that's going to have to be figured out. This is not going to happen by the time they cut that off. So, and there's just some more information on the actual headwork project as far as you're looking at 12 months for design and permitting and bidding, 6 months for construction on that. And then the well field, you're looking at the INC project is 6 months for design and bidding and 6 months for construction. So last, if you flip over to the tech memo, there was like a 3 or 4 page document that I handed out. If you'll flip to the very last page, the one that has the fold over. So this application that you're going to be considering will be for a maximum of $5 million. Right now we have, and that $5 million has design, construction, contingency, everything. These are rolled in numbers. The headworks we're allocating a little over $2.9 million. You may end up using some of the clean water money for that, but either way, that we're putting that in as the line item because that was the construction number, not the engineering number in the 10-year CIP. And I know you didn't adopt the 10-year CIP, but it's at least, we have 2 scenarios of it, so at least we've got something you can follow. The INC is at $332,954. The hydraulic analysis is $200,000. $75,000 of that is for the pressure gauges that you will get to keep once this project is over. So you'll keep those pressure gauges of that $200,000. And then on the SSES, that's $1,869,656 for a total of $5 million.
And Jim, where does the 1.1 come into play with this?
The 1.1 comes into play with the headworks.
Yeah.
So is this the 1.1 is not factored in this
No.
2.5?
No,
Right.
no.
Okay.
What we're doing is we're going to ask for the number that Park Hill and SRB came up with, which was in the 10-year CIP we figured $2,597,000.
Okay.
But you can, if we get this funded, then DEQ will release that 1.1. That will you can use that to pay for the engineering, and then you could use it to offset the cost of this. Of which then we could have flexibility. We could use a little bit more of this money for something else related to the wastewater plant.
Yeah. Okay.
Either way, it will stay with the wastewater plant.
So that was my that was going to be my question. If we have extra money, just as long as it stays with a wastewater treatment plant, it'll still be fine.
Between the 1.1 and the 2.5, as
Yeah.
long as we keep it there at the plant,
Okay.
you're good.
If all goes well, we'll get this money sometime in December.
Correct. You'll close on, and I'll let John explain it, but basically you'll close on this loan. You will get all the money up front. It'll go into an account on your behalf, and then you can then
Draw against it.
initiate. You can initiate the Park Hill contracts, the SRB contracts, and then that way everything is going to be paid for out of that $5 million.
And we have to spend it within 3 years. Is that correct? Okay. 85%.
Yeah.
Within 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still confused on the 1.1, so help me understand. If we get the full 5 million, if 2.5 is to the headworks, and we got the 1.1 released, and you're sitting on 3.6, and you guys are stating that it has to be used at headworks, is there anywhere else in PW that can be used? Or
It has to be used on the wastewater treatment plant. Okay, not just the headworks
It would
project.
reduce that 2.5 where that would free up for additional. You use the 1.1 on the headworks, and then that 1.1 can be used elsewhere.
where's
Yeah.
the elsewhere? That's what I'm asking, because I heard
Part of the CIP that
Okay.
we had
So,
it's not
developed.
going to be locked to
yeah.
just this.
In the 10-year CIP, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 wastewater treatment projects. In fact, you have a $4 million job
Yeah.
on that.
Okay.
We could dip over into the maintenance side of the wastewater treatment plant, and we have on the wastewater treatment plant maintenance there there's an $18,000 project, there's a $30,000 project, there's an $86,000. I mean, there's a list of projects that we can apply. And the reason we're saying that 1.1 is a clean water fund. It's more restrictive than this 2.5. So we will work with Park Hill, the city manager, and MFS to make sure that
Yeah.
we're going to
Yeah.
use the 1.1 on what makes the most sense, and then we'll use the remaining of the 2.5 for the headworks and whatever else is left over.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that.
On the pressure gauges, if we don't need those, is there an opportunity? I mean, you said 75,000 is wrapped up in that alone.
You'll probably want to keep those permanently in your system.
Okay, so once you install them, you're just,
Well, and they can be moved around by your public works staff, but more than likely you will. Well, let me just say this. You're going to be working on pressure problems
Oh,
in
for
your
sure.
system for several years. So by you owning them, you're not having to rent them and
Yeah.
ask us to go put them in and take them out. You'll be able to keep them and use them and move them around. So, yeah. So let's say when we have a water model and you have, say, a new subdivision that wants to come in, well, then you can move that pressure gauge around to determine whether or not that is going to, what the existing flow is, and then what will be the impact on that.
so those pressure gauges though will help you reconcile what your model's showing to
It's
calibrate.
calibrating the
Yeah.
system, yes.
Yeah.
And then it can be used in the future when you have development come in. You can actually, we can run the model, determine what the impact of that development is, and then you'll be able to also monitor the pressure.
Okay, pardon my ignorance, but on these gauges, are they analog, are they digital, the wireless, are they open manhole looking at
These
things?
are actually just digital reading, and we'll get a reading off of them, so off the pressure gauge itself. So
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Do we have a motion in regards?
I don't know that we have
well, I don't
a-
think there's anything
Oh, that's
on
just
mine
presentation
now.
on the next item.
Now,
Okay. Yep,
now
yep,
we
yep,
need
yep.
to hear from John.
Good.
So.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, Mr. Long. Next item is item B. I'm not reading all that. John's up.
Yep. John's up.
I didn't even take a stab at it, huh?
No.
Good evening.
Evening.
Okay, now we get to talk how are you going to pay for this? How's the community going to pay for this? And what you have in front of you is a resolution that authorizes, number one, a lot of legal documents, but you're looking to incur a loan between your authority and the Oklahoma Water Resources Board for an amount that's been thrown out 3 or 4 times already at $5 million. So our job as your financial advisor is to look at multiple things, answer those questions that you would have, which is, can we afford this with our existing financial position, with what we're bringing in, and to give you an indication of borrowing funds for this project. What else do you have outstanding, and how does everything blend? And then for me to answer any question that you have in regards to the financing. Number one, as was mentioned by Mark, is you have an existing loan that you took out in May of 2020 for the wastewater treatment plant. So we're over 5.5 years into that, closing that loan. You have a, I think it's a September of 41 maturity. That was a 20-year loan. So you have about 16 years left on that loan. This particular loan is a clean water statewide revolving fund loan. It's like a line of credit, but after so many years, we set up to where you were going to start making principal payments, and you've already started that process over the last 3 or 4 semi-annual periods. You've been paying the water board principal. First 4 years, I think you paid. It was set up to wrap around some other debt, about $1,000 every 6 months. Eventually, when you pull down the balance, the 1.1 million and change, you will close out the draw actual schedule, or the draw time frame, and you will start making back or paying back full payments until 2041. Right now, if you pull it all down, your payments, which were estimated back in 20, about $305,000 a year until 2041. So that's the first thing that we look at is, if you're taking on more debt, how long does that debt go out? How does it coincide with that $305,000 or so? As far as, will that debt wrap around? Are you just going to go out and do level debt payments? And if you look at borrowing a new $5 million plus the 4.3 you borrowed in 2020, where are we getting those immediate funds from? First thing, you guys, I think it was May or June of 24 that you put into place the increases in water, sewer, and electric services. May of 24. So you had a full fiscal year of collections. And at the time that we did the model for you, we took prior usage levels, you have to take a year, and hopefully you have a year or two prior to the time we do the model. That's a representative year as far as usage, as far as any type of residential commercial growth. And so we have projected that the increases in water and sewer rates should bring in about $500,000 a year. I think for 2025, have unaudited numbers, but have internal numbers from staff, you brought in about $497,000. So the target of $500,000 was what we were looking at to address capital infrastructure. And so at that point in time, this was previous to having in front of you what Mark had addressed in the full plan, the big plan out over the next 20 plus years, was how far does $500,000 a year get you in order to take on your most critical needs? And that's been discussed tonight. And so you start off to where you're looking at a lot of examination. You got the SSES, you have a lot of focus on determining where you need to focus your expenditures in the future. So when we looked at how can we take on $5 million with what we had from revenues from the previous increase, and knowing that we have the SRF loan that's still outstanding until 2041. That's 300,000 or so a year. If you were to borrow today $5 million for 30 years, because these are 30-year life assets that you're going to be replacing, you're looking at about $325,000 a year for the next 30 years. So
That's at the current interest rate.
That's at the current interest rate. Today's interest rate, if you were to close that transaction today, is about, I would say we're around a 4.9% if we closed it today. What will happen, the way this process will work, is we will gather information. If you decide to proceed tonight, we'll gather information. We'll submit an app to OWRB within the next 2 weeks. That particular application will go to their November 18th regular meeting, the third Tuesday in November. And they will consider the loan among other loans at that meeting. There are at least 15 probably loans that are going to be going over the next 2 months, in October 21st and November 18th statewide. And so once we get to November 18th, towards the end of November, first week in December, all the loans that were approved, the board's professionals will go out and sell a single issue that will provide proceeds for all of these borrowers. And we're north of 200 million probably right now, as to looking at a quarter of a billion that are going to be addressed. And so the timing, everything has to work just right. The intent right now is to close the loan on December 17th. You will have funds go into your local trustee account for those funds to be invested, and then you'll pull those funds down. But as Mark has stated, you'll have the funds in your account. You can encumber against those funds. You'll have that amount in your trustee bank, and then you can proceed. And so the question is, our increase that we had in 2024 for the first fiscal year generated just a hair under $500,000. The $325,000 for this loan plus the $300,000 for your clean water SRF loans at $625,000. So we had talked with staff about what would it take in order for you to cash flow based on your existing usage levels and so forth. The increase that generated $500,000 was a 30% increase across the board, pretty much, in water, sewer, and electric. And so if we did 1/3 of that 30%, or a 10% increase in rates, that would generate 1/3 of that $500,000. And so that would get you to about $660,000 in additional revenues off the previous rate increase and a proposed 10% increase. That $660 to $670 would then cover the $300,000 that you have on your existing loan with Water Board from 2020, the clean water, and it would cover this loan. Our intent was to look at, we're a year and a half, 2 years down the road, maybe further, talking to Mark, before you really know all the smoke testing, all the camera, everything that's done, the hydraulics and everything. You'll know a lot more in 2 years. You're going to be 2 years further down the road. You're going to be in 2027. You have 14 years left on your wastewater treatment plant loan. We'll look at that point in time knowing that $300,000 annually falls off in 41. That seems significant. That's significantly still out there, but we have to look at every phase of what SRB have put together and say, how does everything eventually fit, like a jigsaw puzzle, to do the next stage. And we'll assess and we'll tell you, okay, to keep at this level of utility rate structure and what you charge your customers, here's how much more you can do over the next so many years. This gets you to a point to where if you address a 10% increase in your water and sewer rates, that you could then take on both this $5 million loan in addition to addressing your, that's stating of what our desire was 2 years ago, which was to raise rates to accommodate the infrastructure needs of water and sewer, and to have those rate increases cover that. I'm not saying that's all the money you have. You have good debt coverage, which is the first thing. The next thing that we have to look at, which is the board's going to have the analysts that examine everything we put together and say, what's their ability to pay this back? And so you have revenues from electric, you have from water and sewer, but you have a lot of other things you have to do with those dollars, covering increased maintenance costs of the system, not the big ticket items, but the smaller maintenance. Electric has to pay for electric. And so what our intent all along was to raise rates to cover the water and sewer, the existing loan and the proposed loan tonight. I'll stop. I'll be glad to answer any questions you have, but timing's of the essence in order for everything to move along and to meet the November 18th meeting. That's why we're here before you tonight, is so we can start on the application and get it submitted. I have tons of material. I will only jump into that material if you want, but we did analyze your 25 unaudited numbers to see how you ended up in 25. They're not, you don't have an audit report yet, but you do meet the debt coverage, or basically how much in net revenues after you pay operations do you have available to make your debt payments. You pledge on your existing water board debt, electric, water, and sewer revenues. So you got that pot of money coming in, and you got the expenses operating going out, and we look at what's left over. What's left over covers your existing loan and any proposed new loan. You would have about 2.5 to 2 3/4 times, or 250% of what was needed in order to cover that. We want to make sure that we meet at least a 1.4% or 140, but I just wanted to, more than anything, let you know, number one, if I'm sitting in your chair, is that you have the financial position to take on this loan, but to take on the additional cash outlay to do the $5 million loan, to cash flow this, we're recommending a 10% increase in your water and sewer rates to pay for that.
That's not part of this, what's been laid out though, the 10%.
We do not have that in
yeah,
front of you
yeah.
tonight.
Any
But-
questions, John?
I have a question, John. I wasn't here in 2020. I don't think any member of the board was on the board in 2020. Please tell me they did some financial analysis back then to say, okay, how are we gonna pay for this $300,000 loan?
Well, you,
Payment.
Yeah, payment,
Payment.
$300,000 payment.
Yeah. You're saying,
well, yeah.
Were you here in
understood the net-
2020?
Yeah, the net revenues, yes.
were you here in 2020?
Yes.
You walked
Yeah,
them through it?
Yeah, we did all of that.
Well, then why, 5 years later, were we forced to do a 30% rate increase, and now we're looking at another 10%? If in 2020 they planned on a $305,000 loan payment, and why didn't they adjust the rates then? And I'm just telling you, I wasn't there. None of these board members are there, and
I don't know that can even be answered, probably.
Well, if you were the financial advisor in 2020, you had to have explained that to them.
Well, as far as the result of operations since 2020, that's what has changed. As far as, let me back up here. You can, as far as your existing revenues, can cover your existing debt because you pledged electric.
Oh, all right.
Every city that has electric
Okay.
distribution system or wholesale electric system,
Because there's a profit
there
margin
is so much
in there.
profit margin
Yeah, all right.
that the Oklahoma Water Resource Board sees that. We're
Okay.
trying to deal with what does water and sewer cost you now,
Yeah.
and anyway.
I mean, I just feel in 2020 they took the easy way,
No,
and we're making the tough decision because we just did a rate increase in July,
Right.
2.4%, and we did a 30% last year, and now you're asking me in January to do another 10%. You know, so I just want the council to fully understand all
Yeah.
this.
Any questions?
Were we also behind the curve in our rates? If you're talking about these rate increases, besides just absorbing loans, were we also, you see, are we hitting two things?
Well-
Meaning a rate increase to cover loans and a rate increase because we weren't where we needed to be anyway. So they
well,
came at
let's
once.
talk big picture, because this is what I presented to. We did a rate study 2 years ago, and guys, big picture, you have $30 to $50 million worth of water and sewer projects, easy. We're talking 5 million. We've got 5 times that amount you would possibly have to address. And the 30 years would have had some escalation, but who knows what projects that are put off for 10 years, what they'll cost. So from our end, when I first met with Jim and I looked at your existing rates and what you charge for base and volumetric, every other city in the area, and you know, you guys were at, I think, those meetings a couple years ago,
Right.
that all these other cities have this. This is the same scenario in multiple other communities. So they went from, well, there's no way we'll ever charge over $3 per thousand for water, and you have cities that everyone thought, well, they can afford it. They have electric. They have sales tax base. You have city I live in that are $7 to $9 per thousand for water, and that's becoming standard because they've had to address all of their infrastructure needs and growth, or not growth, but just address that. Your sewer was extremely low compared to other communities back when we looked at adjusting that. But at the same time, as low as it is, you have to balance a lot. You have to say, this is what they're used to. So when you go up 30%, that's a 30% sticker shock, and we understand that. But at the same time, and I think I even provided in May another update, and you're still in the middle to low end on what you charge compared to other communities that are in your area of same demographic or same size, or pretty much anywhere within a 30 or 40 mile radius. So yes, you're still low, but the main thing what we wanted to do was to do what we're doing tonight, which is to get you started on getting answers to what you really need to do and what your obstacles are with cameraing your lines and so forth, and then to reassess. But we have to reassess. You cannot take your foot off the gas. And for everyone tonight will say, you know what, you came back to us in September of 25, and I'm pretty sure I heard this will take care of everything. If I haven't heard that once, I've heard it 100 times.
Yeah.
This is the first part of this. So anyway.
Any other questions?
Before we make a motion, I just have, what is the clarification on item B and item C? What's the difference of the two?
One's for the fire station.
Yeah.
one's for-
The C is
This
for the
one's just
fire.
for PW.
This is just, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I add something?
Yes.
The one thing that you've done, that when John was here in May and he was looking at where you stood with the other cities, is we did develop a 10-year forecast of your maintenance needs. Okay, so you have that now. What they didn't have, they didn't do that in 2020. No one forecasted forward what that at least we have a 10-year number of what your maintenance needs need to be, so that you can keep an ongoing cost. I want to say just a cost of expenses of what your rates need to be every year, so that you're not having to do these big spikes at what you're doing. So
And that's what we built into the ordinance last year was CPI.
right.
And we just picked a time, I think it was April, and we went back 12 months and CPI was 2.4%. And the council, it went through
and hopefully what
automatically.
that can do is keep you at least even with the
Right.
curve of what costs were.
Right.
That was the dilemma you were in,
Right.
because otherwise you're dipping into reserves, or you're having to. I mean, but the only way you attack the $32 million capital problem is
Yeah.
doing $5 million chunks that are still within the debt service ratio.
Yeah. And as I was asking the question, John, I realized in 2020 interest rate was at 1.88 and now it's at 5%. So we're paying 3% more on interest. That's what's driving up the cost. Then you had COVID and a whole number of issues that are driving the cost of
Right.
construction.
So when we come back, when you address this 10%, what we'll need to do within the capital program side is we need to balance out and show you, okay, well, this is what you're going to have to continue to do.
Yeah.
So,
A couple of things so it doesn't look like. Let's put a little light at the end of the tunnel here. One is, yes, you got at 1.89, whatever the percentage was. That's a 20-year loan. We're talking a 30-year loan here. You're going to have, on this particular bond, we're going to have actually a little less than a 7-year period of time before you could call this in. So you're looking at a 30-year loan, basically 7 years from now. For some of us, that's a long time. That you can look at where we're at in the market then. You're not going to be back at 1.8. First of all, that's a 20-year loan, and that was a federally subsidized loan. And a lot has also changed in all the federally subsidized programs. They came up with a lot of extra red tape, BABA, which you basically have to buy almost everything associated with what we're talking about. Almost has to you can't buy it overseas, and so
American Act.
So it drives the costs up, and not just because it's going to cost more. Is if there's not an inventory for that supply of what you need, then you have to wait longer. And so this has become the most efficient. And like I said, 7 years from now, you see where you're at, and we'll see what stages you're in. Then we can say, all right, maybe we refinance that, cut that rate down to a couple hundred basis points or 2%, and then we'll reassess. But that's what we're going to do constantly on this. So,
Any other questions? One thing I'd remind everybody too, the plan that the engineers have developed for us, that was today. Things continue to age, and we're going to continue to fight this for years to come. So that's today's look, and we have all kinds of systems that are really, really old that we haven't addressed for a long time. Do we have a motion regarding item B?
I will make motion, we approve item B, resolution 2025-003.
I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
That motion carries. Thank you, John and Martin, for your input here. Item C is the discussion possible action to approve resolution 2025-002. Back at you, John, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's correct. This is for the fire station, Commissioner.
okay. I do have a handout on this.
I did share with them, John, that formula that you and I produced. I put it in a memo, and I did share it with them. If you have some hard copies, I'm pretty sure they all read it.
I actually preferred, to summarize as much as you guys think. I just want to get into the details. Mr. Brooks thinks I do, but I don't. This is this is a little more detail that was in your memorandum.
Okay.
Okay. What you have in front, this is the resolution of the authority that you will use as your conduit issuer for the financing of the fire station. Some of you who are new, you say, well, wait a minute, we're over here in the utilities authority kind of side, and why are we addressing the fire station financing? And this is fairly typical that you cannot obligate yourself beyond a fiscal year under Article 10, Section 26 of the Constitution unless you do general obligation bonds. But you do have a trust that has broad enough powers to where you can address pretty much everything as far as advanced funding or entering into debt. And so some of you have not had a chance to have this in front of you, that our intent all along was to use the Public Works Authority as the conduit issuer debt in order to finance part of the cost of the fire station. This is a long and winding road. And we are, I think, I'm sure you guys are elated. We're to the point now to where you have to have, you can award bid. And our job over the last couple of years was to see where you were at a point in time. You passed the sales tax back in, gosh, almost 3 years ago.
2021.
And, or longer than that. Yeah, I haven't highlighted nearly enough here on the handout, but you've collected about $2.5 million. You've collected more than that. You actually paid on architectural work and so forth. And so our discussion over the last few months have basically said, depending on when you get the bids in, that you can bring around $2.5 million to the table to pay against the cost of the project, whatever it happens to end up being. I know that you guys got bids on the 18th. Is that correct?
Yep.
And so here we are 10, 11 days later. Our job was to analyze the sales tax that was originally passed was extended to 2041.
That's correct.
And so what we looked at is what's the cash flow from that sales tax. The purpose, I believe, was broadened. I know it's broadened. I can't remember on the initial sales tax what the exact language was, but this one's broad enough to do more than just public safety. And so our intent all along was to look at reduce the borrowing as much as possible, contribute funds you'd already collected that was for this purpose, and also it was brought to our attention months or over a year ago that the general fund would look within its coffers and contribute as much as $1 million or so. So what you have in front of you, what I focus on is everything in yellow, is that based on that the bids that you received, if you are able to contribute about $1.1 million out of general fund and take $2.5 million out of your special account, that's the sales tax that's been levied over that period of time, and then look at borrowing the rest. 5 million seems to be a common number tonight. I'm going to explain this. Is why are we doing 5 on one and 5 on the other? How did they both fall at 5? We were a little over 5 on both, just a little. And you have the loan with Oklahoma Water Resources Board, which we've already addressed. You have a loan with a bank. And I'm going to jump in and discuss the bank here in a few seconds. But what we were looking at is what gets you the best interest rate. And there's a provision in the tax code that gives banks an extra benefit. beyond just the tax exemption. They don't have to pay taxes on the tax interest you pay them, as far as doing their corporate tax return. But they also get another benefit. If you as a city and any of your public trusts can basically certify this calendar year that you're not going to issue more than 10 million, they get an additional benefit. Banks, this may be common knowledge, may not. They basically borrow against their depositors, or they go to the Federal Home Loan Bank, they borrow money to lend to you. And for those entities that are considered small issuers, they basically were thrown a carrot because they were going to take the ability to have the carrying costs of the bank going out to borrow money. The banks can write 80% of that off. Not only do they not have to pay interest on the taxes you're paying them, they get to write off 80% of the carrying costs if they borrow. So if they borrow against their depositors at 3%, they get to write off 2.4% of that rate. So it's an additional benefit to them. But the Congress said, all right, we're going to leave it alone for you small issuers or for the banks that deal with small issuers. If you basically certify that this calendar year you will not issue more than 10 million, and tonight we have 10 million in front of you, you cannot do any other tax exempt debt for this calendar year, looking backwards and looking through to December 31. I've talked to Jim ad nauseum. He's probably tired of me saying it a third time. If we do that, it didn't really matter on the water board loan. It does matter on your bank loan, because banks see that as that's of great value to them. And so accelerating, discussing what we're doing here. Well, John, we're not going to a state agency. What we're looking to do is to have you authorize us to do a couple things. One or a couple. Anytime that we look at you going to banks to borrow, we start calling banks that we have worked with in the past, and we get what are called indicative rates. We say, where are you? If you know the full story, this is a fire station, I've broken it down. I started talking to these banks a year ago and said, all right, where would you be? And in order for us to get before you tonight and say, all right, what direction do we want to go? We had these discussions. We had some banks that are really interested, but their rate wasn't really impressive. We have banks that are not in your community. We have some that are close, some that have home offices that are in Tulsa area. And so we did talk to one of your local banks who buys a lot of small loans, 10 million and under. And they did give us an indicative rate last Thursday of a 15-year fixed at 4.5%, prepayable in part or in whole, which means you could decide every 6 months to pay down extra on it. You could decide to refinance 3 months from now, and you don't pay any penalty to that bank. That's a great benefit. That's one of the few banks in the state that does that. And we work with over 30 or 40 different, we don't work with them, but they bought paper. And so we did talk to that one bank. And then we talked to another bank that's has branches in Oklahoma City, over in East Oklahoma. They're in that mid 4.5 range. Now theirs is not going to be prepayable anytime in whole or in part at that rate. We're in front of you tonight to have you not only look at the incurrence of the indebtedness, but to authorize us to put something out to the banks. We put out a term sheet package. It has everything that they need to know as far as how it's going to be paid back. Which right now, what you have in front of you is a resolution authorizing us to use the half-penny sales tax as security, plus and what banks look at. I talked about coverage earlier. Sorry guys, I'm talking through this as fast as I can. Is the 1 penny sales tax gives you about a high 130 coverage. like 130% of the sales tax revenues will cover the debt payments if you were to do 4.5% for 15 years. You say, well, aren't they happy with that? Banks are concerned when they see sales tax only because you can have some of this sometimes. And you guys have had some of this. And so they may want you to pledge other tax that's more of a safety net. And so what you have in front of you tonight is that we pledge the half-penny sales. It's available, and you would also pledge a half-penny use tax. Now that use tax is not, you don't have any specific purpose identified.
Commitments, no commitments.
There's no
yeah.
commitment. What that does is it gives the bank that if for whatever reason your sales tax was to plunge, they'd have another pot of money to go against. I'm not saying you don't use the use tax for other things, you do. But that's what you have in front of you tonight is we pledge no other revenue, not utilities, but the half-penny sales, and we're also looking at pledging the associated half-penny use tax that was tied to that half-penny sales tax that was originally done. And that's the package we'll send out to banks. Tonight you have in front of you the resolution authorizing us to either negotiate with a single bank or to just put a package out. Jim and I have had conversations on this. Happy or sad, don't understand banks, trying to understand the market, see where everybody is at going forward, trying to figure out the Federal Open Market Committee and everything else going on. We have a rate in hand today, if you wanted to move with that. We could send out a package and in 2 weeks have rates in hand, or we can wait, and what you're juggling is where do you think rates are going to go? And so one of two things could happen. And number one, let me make sure because this has come up. This just like the water board's loan. You have the date of close, the money goes into a trustee account, and that's invested from day one. And today, those money market accounts that by state trustee banks are earning about a 3.95 to a 4% right now. So that's what they're earning. That's money market. That's every day. It's what it is, and it can go up and down every day. You could decide on the fire station, you know what, we're going to go out and buy a 1-year CD at 4.25% or whatever. I don't think they're getting 4.25. You can go out and buy an investment, but right now, if you were to borrow at 4.5, you could earn 4 today. And so that decision is something you need to make. But my concern is going forward, we like to take things off the table. You have your bids in hand. That's off the table. That's not going to change with the bids you received, with the low bid you received. The only thing out there that's a variable is where the interest rates are going to be. We'll set it up for you, but what you have to do is you're going to need to have, just like on the water board transaction, you really need to have funds in hand so that you can encumber the full agreement or the full contract with your low bidder. And so, did you award?
It's on the agenda tonight.
That's what I thought. Okay, so it's on, if you award tonight, you can say subject to financing, and then say, all right, when the financing comes in, I said we can have the financing closed in 2 weeks, or we can have it closed at the end of October.
Given your scenario, the financing has to be in place. Because you're taking every bit of money that we've accumulated for this, any of these options, right? We're disposing of the $2.5 million in regards to this.
Right.
Yeah.
Is the 2.5 the real unencumbered number,
Yes.
even with the additional fifth bay expenses we're gonna have?
Yes. John is aware of the fifth bay.
Okay, one thing I did see tonight, I want to make sure on this, so we're all on the same page. I did not read the agenda until I first got here.
Yeah, the 8,650,000 includes the fifth bay.
Yes.
Yeah, that question, yeah.
But
Okay.
is the 2.5, is that encumbered against that yet or not? Or is that true money sitting in the bank?
No, if you look at option 3, he's got the fire's tax, what's collected, 2,550,000. Then he's saying here's a $5 million loan, and then we're gonna take 1.1 million out of the general fund, which is in reserve, equals 8,650,000.
So the 2.5, we can still,
I think your question is
start
this.
with that.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Everything it just said, 8,540,000 is what you'll have available for the project. You see where it says,
No, I get that. My question was just unencumbered funds in the bank, and maybe a needed question, I don't know, but
Yeah,
I could pull it up last month, but the 2.5 is representative of that.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, and then when do we, since I have the floor, when do we project to get enough money off of just the fire tax to be able to pay this? What does that look like at current rate, current collections right now? Are we kicking this thing out? Is it gonna be 10 years before we've collected enough funds to pay this off? Because I know he's talking banks, we could pay early. Or is it gonna take the full,
if you do not spend that tax that you had repurposed for anything else besides this, then you potentially, because you can see you're about 200,000 under what that half penny generated last year. And so it was, my intent is to show that 200,000, after you make your annual payment, that 200,000 was for other types of projects. If you decided, no, we don't want to do that, we want to just get this off the books as quick as possible. You guys are looking at me like I completely.
no, I'm just talking about just sitting inside the fire tax alone that we're gonna collect. How long is it gonna take to collect money just off that fire tax
To pay that
to
5
potentially
million.
pay the 5 million?
Well, it's,
Because we've collected, we just said, we've collected 2.5, actually more than that, because we paid out of this.
Right.
but see, the 2.5 was the fire tax. It is no longer a fire tax. It is a fire tax and other things. that
I
goes in
understand
there.
that.
Yeah.
That's why,
Johnny's just saying, how much extra money you spent off, if you took any extra money off?
Yeah, the 200,000, I would say you could possibly pay it off in 13 years instead of 15.
No growth in the tax.
And if our concern is what you have in front of you. It's where you were a year ago, the year before that. Yes, and that's, banks are gonna look at this. That's gonna be the thing they focus on and say, all right, where are we going for the years to come? They're gonna want a certain amount of cushion that they're covered on that, so.
And given what you analyzed here, you believe that coverage is sufficient?
With the half a cent from the use tax.
Yeah, that 1.76, I think is what you got.
And last year we collected almost $1 million in use tax. And we don't share that with anybody, not the hospital, nobody.
Right.
today,
So it's got the most flexibility.
And this exact, what you're looking at now, has essentially been signed off on. That's for at least one bank, the bank that I mentioned. That's sufficient.
Here local.
So John, going back to the mayor's question, and I know you and I have debated this. The next Fed meeting, they may drop it another 0.25%. Do we think there's value in waiting till the end of October? You and I talk all the time about this. I want to give some level of confidence to the commissioners. You're a little more conservative than I am. I'm more moderate, and you're a little more to the right of me.
That's
If
easy.
they're gonna,
That's easy.
if they're talking about another 0.25% drop,
Yeah.
and that picks up any momentum, let's say for the next week, it's already baked in to whatever the rates are.
Okay.
They already start planning for that, and that's the thing every time on this. It's already baked in. it has to get, it's got to get some momentum. If they don't see anything, that's going to turn them around. And so the rate that I got from your local bank was last Thursday. That's after
The last
whatever was out there on in the media.
Yeah.
Last Thursday is what they based the rate on.
But we can't award and sit back in 30 days.
No.
Yeah.
No, but
So-
we have enough money to float.
Yeah.
I mean,
that
we've got 2.5
Can we
million.
motion that way when we get that other side?
Well, that's what he's taking into
He's-
consideration. That 2.5 million is going to be dedicated, obviously, to getting us started. I believe, right, as
Well,
far
it-
as the initial.
I want to make sure we're on the same page. You cannot. I'll make sure everybody can hear me. I keep stepping away from the mic. In order for you to enter into a contract, so I'm sure we're on the same page, you have to have money set aside to cover the full amount of the loan.
There's the answer.
Yeah.
That's what I was asking.
So
There's not time in this to, unless we wait 30 days on that side also.
Yeah.
we can't award this tonight.
Subject to
We can
financing.
award it subject to financing.
Subject to financing.
But
Yes.
we can't kick this 30 days down the road and then award.
Yeah.
Because you're awarding the bid tonight subject to financing, and
Yeah.
then they're going to say, well, when are you going to do financing? And you say, well, could be
So
2
you're
weeks.
saying in the next 2 weeks we should do the
I
finance?
think you should, because you have a bird in the hand right now,
Yeah.
and
As
Can I make
unfortunate
one
as it is.
comment? I'm Alan Brooks. John and I work together. I'm your bond counsel. But I mean, the thing that you have to keep in mind, I mean, again, the Fed has talked, all right? They've spoken. That information is out there. What moves in interest rates arguably is what's not out there. So, I mean, if all of a sudden we get I'm not saying anybody's expecting it, but a red hot inflation report of some kind that nobody's expecting. Again, it's the things that are not expected that change the direction of rates. Rates, Jim, they might be 0.25% lower 30 days from now. They might be 0.25% higher.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, and the bank that has, I mean, if rates move significantly, if they go down, we have opportunity to catch that down interest rate. But the same is true. I mean, years ago, I was sitting with John and one of his partners at the Oakland Water Resources Board, and we were pushing them to move forward with a financing, and their financial advisor, big national firm, said there's nothing on the horizon that would indicate rates are going to go up. What's the hurry? Well, based on that advice, we sat still and didn't move as fast as we could, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, rates jumped up about 0.5%. Okay, it's the things you don't see. You've got a bid in hand at what John thinks is a very attractive rate at 4.5, and we know it's prepayable. Again, really important.
Yeah,
Because
that's true.
We've got one bank he's talked to, the rate is significantly higher than the rate we have. We have another bank that might be in the same rate range,
Yeah.
but as we know from history, it's not going to be fully prepayable. It's really nice if we get a significant drop in interest rates. I mean, we've refinanced transactions in the past, unusual, but you get a giant dip in interest rates for whatever reason, 6 months or a year after we close the loan, but only if we have the ability to prepay it. We save 100 basis points to refinance the loan. Really important. Okay?
the other part of this is where you make up the difference, and we don't want to let it get dropped, is when you award bid, you're moving along on the station, and you get a drawdown schedule from them, because a lot of times that's just, we close the loan, there we go, and before you know it, you're 4 or 5 months behind what you thought you would be. The money's sitting there idle. That's where you keep talking to us, and we say, okay, give us your most recent schedule, so we can tell you, okay, you look at, this is an area you may want to look at investing to be, because you close a deal, it's kind of, all right, now we're just happy to start the project, but we'll continue to communicate with you as to what dollars you have in your construction account on this, so that you can net effect against the interest you're paying.
So the first loan we talked about was a 30-year with a 6-year call. This one is a 15-year,
7-year call.
7-year call. This one is a 15-year.
Call anytime you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes me feel more
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah.
With your suspicion that, if this thing
Yeah.
happens in 6 months and it drops something crazy.
Yeah.
Here's one other just factor to keep in mind. When the Fed cuts rates, those are short-term rates, okay? That doesn't always affect long-term rates. In fact, we've seen recently where we've seen a cut in the short-term rates and the longer-term rates have actually gone up a little bit, okay? So one is not necessarily, I mean,
Yeah.
if you ask John or you ask anybody and they tell you, here's what rates are gonna do, they don't know. Okay, we
I
might see
know.
rates go down a little bit in the next 30 days, but again, I think there's,
Yeah. Well, it brings up a good point about the call. I had not considered that, so I think we're in good shape if we go out the next week.
Any other questions?
so if you all decide to move forward with this, the way it's written right now is that the chairman signs off within the parameters of which
Yeah.
bank we're gonna go with. What I think I hear you thinking right now, and you can make this part of your motion, approve the resolution and direct us to move forward with the bid we have in hand.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
I can motion, but do we need to put in that clause with the bid in hand? And is that bid the local one that you're looking at?
Yep.
I know we champion that, so
Yeah.
should
No.
I add that in there?
No.
Okay.
I strongly encourage John to try to work with one of our local banks. 'Cause,
We're competitive in this local.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, I will motion to approve item C with resolution 2025-002 with the caveat we go with the bid in hand.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Thank you very much for all
Yeah,
that
thank you.
explanation.
Thank you.
Helped me a
Appreciate it.
lot.
Thanks for your patience, guys, going through all that.
I got signed out after that while.
There it is.
Should be good.
That is approved as Mr. Whitrock.
Mayor, so you know, there's some communities that put a stopwatch on John. It's an option.
Duly noted.
Yeah, thank you. Next item on the agenda is item D, is discussion possible action to approve the purchase of 3 high-side switches for transformer protection at the Bowman Station at a cost of $64,910. Mr. Campbell?
We have one of these switches that has lost its gas. These are gas that extinguishes if we have a spark or a fire in here. These high side switches open up so we don't burn the world down. We have one that's defective now because it's lost its gas. After having this information during our substation reports, OMPA has directed me that we should replace the other 2 before we have even more problems. I think they've been in the sub since '85, so they've lived well.
Just replace all of them that you have?
Well, just 3.
How
There's
many do you
just
have
3.
total?
Just 3 on the high side.
But how many do you have total in the system? Just those 3?
That's the only. Bowman substation is the one that the city of Kingfisher owns. Industrial sub, which is on the south end, that's OMPA sub. So everything that happens in the industrial sub is on OMPA, but with Bowman sub being ours, city owned, we're responsible for taking care of the high side too.
I guess my question goes back to this is, you said 40 years old?
Yep.
Do we need to put anything in the budget going forward? Something to sit on the shelf for 20 years? or just deal with these as they come?
I don't see we need to do that.
Okay.
Where we're replacing all three at
Yeah,
once.
but we're replacing all three as we do it.
What's the delivery on these, Mark?
30 weeks, isn't that what it said?
30 weeks can deliver.
Yeah.
So that's the other reason why we're buying all three. We're just gonna deal with it, all at once.
Yes, sir.
Any questions of Mr. Gamble? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to, approve the purchase of 3 high-side switches for transformer protection at the Bowman Station.
Mr. Sims, do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you.
Mark?
Thanks, Mark.
Item D is approved. We have a motion for adjournment.
Motion for adjournment.
Is that to adjourn back to the city, or are you going,
Yeah, we'll reconvene, yeah.
making sure we're clear on it?
Yep, motion to adjourn Public Works.
Second.
Okay. I wish this thing would be a little quicker. You know, I know. We are adjourned. We'll reconvene as the Kingfisher City Commission special meeting. So we'll begin with the scheduled business 3B, and that's again the discussion possible action to approve the resolution 2025-007. Do we have a motion?
This is for the fire station, so it's everything John shared with you in the KPWA.
We need to make the same.
Yep. Motion to approve item B, ordinance 2025-007.
That's with the.
Oh, with the caveat of the local, or with the bid in hand.
Yes.
Sorry.
Do we have a second?
Second.
That already pop up? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm behind you guys.
Okay.
Sorry. There you go. So,
Okay.
Pass 4-0.
Can you see it? There you
Oh,
go.
there you go. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, that motion, or item B is approved. Item C is discussion possible action to approve resolution 2025-008 in regards to the 5 million regarding water and wastewater, right?
Yes.
Oklahoma Water Resources Board.
Yeah.
We have a motion.
A motion to approve item C, resolution 2025-008.
Second.
Thank you. Item C is approved. Item D is a discussion possible action to award the bid on the fire station to A&K Construction, Inc., including the base bid of $8,083,000. Alternate one in the amount of $409,000 and an allowance of $450,000 for a total contract amount of $8,985,000. $942,000. And I asked you this before, so I have a question in regards to the contingency of the allowance. Why do we need to write the $450,000 into the contract?
And I guess that's the way it was proposed, that's the way it was bid. Even at the bids, all 7 contractors allocated or awarded the 450,000. The A&K understands that money belongs to the city. They understand that they're getting $8,083,000 plus the 409,000 for the 5th bay, and that the 450 is only drawn on if we have unexpected issues come up when the bid's constructed.
My only question in regards to that, I mean, we're gonna do a change order anyway, if in fact we need to address something in addition that wasn't covering the plan, so why write the 450? That's,
I would probably say this might be more of even an immediate thing, but just that way you've got that encumbrance out there that you know you may have this extra expense out there of that 450,000. If you don't include it in somewhere, you would never encumber it anywhere to know that it's out there and possible to be spent. It's not committing you to spend it, like Jim said.
Right.
I've never seen
And that's
written
what I'm
into a
saying.
contract.
It's rare that I've seen it
Yeah.
in the motion, but I have seen it a couple other times, not here, but other places. So.
But again, I guess my question, and either way, but we're gonna come to the table with a change order anyway, and there's another item here a little bit later in regards to what, item F, but, we're gonna be aware of those things
Yeah.
either way, so I just don't know why we write that in there. And I know it was, again, written into the bid item as a dollar amount, but I don't see why that's in the contract. Any other questions?
There were 7 bidders. You got a copy of the bid abstract. It was very competitive, and we came in below what we thought we would expect. We had originally, you'd given me authority up to 9.1 million, and so we're looking at about 8.5 million, depending on what unexpected things may come up over the next 14 months. So we would recommend approval to A&K Construction.
With the deleting of the 450, or are you saying?
I think we should just leave it in there. You know, I'm with Jared. It needs to be encumbered. If we don't use it, it just rolls into the general fund.
So,
I think a lot of times you just
so how do we
see
encumber that? Cause it's already a 0.5 sales tax. We're borrowing money. We're not necessarily encumbering it.
Anita. I can see in my brain.
Make it a separate PO. I kind of considered it, is that perhaps a cap on change orders?
Yeah, but you can't really do that either, depending upon unforeseen. I mean,
Unless that's what it is. I don't know. I don't know enough about contracts to, I defer to the contract guru, but.
Oh
are
boy.
you the contract guru?
Yeah, that's got to be Jim.
Oh, you're the contract guru.
I mean,
I don't know how you cap. I don't know how you cap.
Yeah,
that
I don't know
again.
how you would
Yeah.
cap it, but I would just, again, where we know we're gonna have to, where we know we may expend those funds, we're gonna wanna say somewhere where we've got it set aside. I mean, we're gonna be taking out these loans that we're saying, hey, we're gonna spend up to this. I think it's probably good to show them that, you know, hey, that's all part of this.
But
maybe we don't use it all.
that doesn't take into consideration. If you go back and look at his $5 million loan, he's talking wherever it is, 8.5, whatever. We're not talking about 8.9.
Okay, then I stand corrected on that one.
8.54.
Yep.
In talking to BRW, their experience has been sometimes they've not used any of the contingency.
Yeah.
Sometimes they've used 6%. They said there was one time they used 100%. And I think it's just, you know, unpredictable at this time to know what we're going to encounter. I'm comfortable. We've done a reference check on A&K Construction. I think they're going to be able to meet this project on time and hopefully under budget.
Yeah, no, and I hope so too, Jim. I'm not saying that. My point is, you never know what you know what you're going to encounter for sure. But again, we have that in our budget that we had placed at that 9.1 million. And man, these are great bids, and we're allowed to add a fifth bay, which I think Chief Gibson and his folks are I mean, we're excited about
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, we're achieve this half-cent sales tax goes through 2041,
Right.
and really what we have done is dedicate that to the fire station first and foremost. We have the ability to
Right.
use it on other things, so that's all I would say. So
I think thinking through it, and then now if that's not part of that loan that we just approved out there, I think you're probably fine either way. I don't think it's going to cause a problem to leave it, but I don't think it's going to cause a problem to take it off necessarily either, because like you say, you're going to do change orders regardless, because you're specifically saying it's just a contingency.
Yeah.
You know, so I think you're probably okay either way.
Just looks good for transparency.
what does
I said it just looks good for transparency.
as
Like-
far as the contingency?
I'm saying for it to be written that way, just for like, you know, for the
Oh.
public to
Oh, for
see
sure.
it, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the bid doc. Do we have a motion? That motion can be anything you want. I mean, it can be as read or however you want to word it.
Not anything.
I'll
Yeah.
make a motion to approve item D as it's stated.
Okay.
A&K Construction.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Item D is approved. Item E is discussion possible action to approve additional funding in the amount of $56,000 to BRW for the addition of a fifth bay.
As you will recall, the memo I sent you over the weekend, I gave you a cost breakdown as to BRW's need for additional funds to come up with a fifth bay. I'm recommending that we appropriate this money and make the adjustment to their contract for architecture fees.
Any questions?
Did you negotiate this in any way, shape, or form? This seems a little steep.
You know, Commissioner, the chief will tell you that I have had several conversations with the BRW, and I'm at a point where this is the best they can do. You know, and this station is important to the community, and I think we just need to swallow our pride and get her done. They outlined I shared with you exactly the memo that he sent me, or the email, and I think it's the best we could do, Commissioner.
Where is it this 56,000 comes from? Does it add to the whole amount of what we're talking about, or the
No, this
contingency
is-
we just talked about?
That's a separate contract. The contingency
Right.
is,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is just
It'll-
added
yeah.
onto.
It'll
It
just
makes
come out
sense.
of the sales tax that's dedicated for the fire
Yeah.
tax.
So I mean, the amount that we just discussed so many times.
It's
Is it
not gonna
already-
be, no,
is it
it's
already
not
in
part
there,
of
or
that,
we're
yeah.
now adding
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
to it? Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to.
This is coming out of the 2.5 million that's sitting in the bank under fire.
Yeah.
tax,
Yeah.
On top of what we've already paid them.
Yeah,
Adding to
that's
the-
correct.
Okay.
Anyway, I would recommend approval.
Do we have a motion?
I will motion to approve item E with the additional fifth bay to BRW for $56,000.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Item E is approved. Item F is a discussion possible action to authorize the city manager to approve change orders and contingency expenditures in an amount not to exceed $50,000. You have something?
The city attorney and I discussed this last week, and he didn't see an issue. He brought up the Oklahoma State Title 61 Public Buildings and Public Works. I've got the wording here. If the awarding public agency has a governing body, all change orders. Anyway, it puts a limit of 40,000 or 10% of any contract, whichever is less.
It authorizes the governing body to assign someone to be able to approve change orders up to that 40,000.
Yeah.
So we could do a change order that's larger. It just has to come back to you all before it can be signed off on.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to approve it, it would need to be, or the motion would need to be to approve it, but in an amount of $40,000, not 50.
On an individual change order or cumulative?
That doesn't have anything about cumulative
Okay.
that I saw it.
Yeah, okay.
This is only for fire station, only for change order.
That's correct. That's correct.
Any other questions?
And you said we need to amend this to
Amend
be
it,
40.
but based off of your last question, go ahead and add in there approved change orders for the fire station project in an amount of 40,000. Just that way, we're all on the same page because it is
Yeah.
kind of broad there.
I'm fine. Yeah.
Any more questions?
What is the amount right now for change orders? That a city manager can do?
There is none.
Oh,
He would
Not
be
under the
authorized at
competitive bidding act.
25,000.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As it stands right now, right? The 25,000
Purchasing
is
policy.
authority,
So
is
that's
that?
just our city, but not competitive bid acting.
Hey,
Yeah,
I would tell you I'd want something
Okay.
specifically under the Competitive Bidding Act, especially for the amounts we're talking on this. You know, normally, yes, he's got his amount.
well,
that
what
he
I
can
heard
do,
him
but
say
it's
is a BRW guaranteed no escalation.
That's what I heard
That's
too.
what, yeah. So I don't even know that
Yeah,
it's
that's you
needed,
too?
but
And that
yeah.
we've got all of our infrastructure needs taken care of for the next 30 years.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Do we have a motion?
Thank you, Mayor.
Motion to approve item F, allowing city manager to authorize change orders up to the amount of $40,000 for the fire station.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Getting a little heavy over here on the left.
Yeah,
I'm trying to let them collect their quarters.
I'm getting out of motions over here.
This is early Christmas. I'm trying to let them
There
get
you
that
go.
extra.
There you go.
The water's probably colder over there anyways. They're more a little.
Chief Gibbs is coming in third. And get-
I hadn't gotten my deal yet. Does it pop?
I had to type in.
Oh, I
so-
got you. I got you. Okay.
And then Tammy, did you second it?
Yes.
I keep pressuring Brittany.
Sorry.
I had to correct
Right?
it.
Should have added it just for fun. Just to make Ray sweat.
So item F is approved. Item G is a discussion and possible action to approve resolution 2025-009, authorizing a REAP grant application for the installation of 19 fire hydrants with a total project cost $174,800 and a local contribution of $50,000. Chief Gibson?
The 50,000 is what you all budgeted to replace hydrants. So the way I come up with the math, Brittany and I work together on this. You get points. So however much money the city gives, which is 40% what we're giving 40%. So we get so many points. So, and every grant, did y'all get this? Did they get this?
Yeah,
Okay.
we did.
So every grant you get points, and the more points you get, the better chance you get to get the grant. So that's where the 19 hydrants come. That was just add in the money to the points to figure out how many we can get. Chief Stewart went out for this 2 years ago,
Yep.
and he was requesting 27
Yep.
hydrants, and it failed.
Failed.
Yeah.
And every REAP grant that was applied for last year was approved.
And we did not apply
And we
for
didn't,
one.
yeah.
Par for the course.
Yeah, out of curiosity, fire hydrants across the city. We have how many and how many?
There's approximately 320 hydrants.
320 hydrants. And how many of those do we need to replace today? I mean, in general.
So Jim asked me the same question in the meeting today. I don't know.
Okay.
We've been trying to check hydrants and the water keeps having problems. We're going to try again next Monday. It'll take about a week and a half, and I'll be able to tell you exactly which hydrants need to be replaced and how many.
But out of 300, we're confident there's about 10%.
Yeah, yeah, there's not.
So I mean, you take care of a lot of that right here.
Yeah.
2/3 of it.
Yeah. And
Oh, so you haven't identified 19.
No,
Okay.
I just took the money that we could get with the most amount of points, and that's where I come up with 19.
and these are subcontracted. So we'll just, that's the equipment, the labor, put it in, we'll get it done.
Yeah, the water department's already got enough headache, so Brittany and I made a decision that I just got a quote for do all the work.
Yeah.
You get the hydrant, you put it in, leave the
I
city
mean, we'll
alone.
still competitively go out and bid it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty high. That's a pretty high number.
Well, so when Tony went out for or got it in 2020, it was 4,500. We looked
Yeah,
for all of it,
and they've
things
gone
have
up some
doubled,
for
yeah.
sure, but they're not that much what I've seen. Any
Is
questions?
there a schedule and routine maintenance plan or whatever, how we check fire hydrants?
So we have to check hydrants every 3 years. The water department is supposed to flush them every year. The fire department, pedos and flow tests every 3 years, 3 to 5 years for ISO.
So,
Insurance.
So Commissioner, what they do, like they're gonna test them in the next couple of weeks. When they find an error, a broken turn valve or something, they will make a list and identify it and forward that to the street or water department. The issue in the past is that schedule has just been pushed off to the side. We have aggressively the last 2 years been trying to repair some of these fire hydrants. Because to me, I believe it's a risk management, it's a liability the city's inheriting. If we have a fire, we want to make sure that the fire hydrants are working. And so I've made it a priority, and this is just another step to meet those demands.
I guarantee I can find 19 hydrants to replace.
Yeah.
And then something we can look at next year. to
Yeah.
Yeah,
apply.
trying to go back
Yes.
out for this grant
Yes.
Yeah.
every year.
so will the Park Hill presentation we had earlier check that when it finally is working, like
Oh,
when it's doing the,
On the water model,
yeah.
it will not
I don't know
check
if they'll
all the
check-
fire
yeah.
hydrants, I don't believe. But
Oh.
I will tell you, and one of my questions would be, when we do what you're doing as far as inspecting the fire hydrants, we will note that in our GIS system, correct?
It should,
I think it's
Yeah,
already
that may
there,
not be
isn't it?
your
it
question.
should be
or-
what the water will do. that.
yeah, okay.
They should update that.
So we have a program on our side that we put it in, each hydrant with its coordinates, a picture of it, and the size of it.
Yeah.
So,
Do you test the water pressure when it comes
Thank you.
out? Hey, see you guys, see it
Yes.
on.
Yeah, we do a pedo, a residual, and a flow test.
Okay. So that you know what you're walking up on, or when you walk away, you know how much pressure you got.
And if y'all notice, the hydrants are painted different colors on the top. That's for how much gallons per minute we can get out of it, that hydrant.
That water model that you,
yeah,
it will show some pressures as to
that's
what
what I
their
was gonna
model
say, yeah.
shows at those points, but they're not gonna go out and test the fire
No,
hydrants.
yeah, no, but I'm saying like, cause what are the hydrants tied into? Cause if they're testing the flow for everything that's tied into our city lines, that was my thought, was like, we would be able to know what pressure is going to where those hydrants are, right? Like, that's what I'm saying.
That model should reflect a little bit, should show what the projected
Right.
pressures are and where they put their pressure meters and things that he was
Yeah,
talking about.
okay.
Will give us some information, but a fire hydrant has to be on a 6-inch line or greater, right?
Don't
Isn't that
give me
right,
the line.
Steve?
I've seen them on 2s and 4s, but you don't want to use.
Oh, really? I thought it had to be on a
Twos?
6-inch.
Wow.
Okay.
Really?
I know the rural water has hydrants, but we can't hook up to them because we'll collapse our lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Steve, have you seen any?
Yeah,
Steve?
I was just gonna say construction standards 4-inch minimum, but there are 2-inch
Really?
out there, yeah.
2-inch goes to a
They're
house.
more of a flush hydrant
Well,
considered, yeah, not for fire.
We've got some 2-inch lines around here that feeds Anyway, all right. Any other questions of Chief Gibson?
So this motion is just to apply for the grant.
Yes,
We do
so-
have 50,000 budgeted that we could use if we are not successful with the
Right.
Right.
for this year.
So the reason why it's brought up now with so little numbers is because we had to have a resolution to go for the grant.
Oh, I got you.
And this was, according to Jim, last Thursday, the last meeting. There wasn't going to be any meeting before October 31st.
Yeah.
So he had me hurry up and pull numbers to get stuff.
Okay.
So really, the numbers might change, but the 50,000 is not going to change.
Correct.
Okay. We have a motion.
I'm ready to vote. Come on.
Holding out.
I want to go eat.
Let's go.
I make a motion to approve item G 2025-009 for the 19 fire hydrants.
Do we have a second?
I'm figuring y'all needed the practice. Go ahead.
Second.
Okay.
It's like training down there. You're welcome.
It's definitely trending on the left side.
You'll be expert. by the
Thank
end
you,
of
Chief
the day.
Gibson. Appreciate it a ton.
Yeah, thank y'all. And thanks for the earlier votes for
Yeah.
the station.
Hold on, stay up there.
Yeah, right. So is H tied to G?
Yes.
So
We
item
have to
H
do
is
two different motions.
discussion and possible action to decide what level of contributions to be applied to the grant
Yes.
application. So
There's where.
There's the 50,000.
that's the 50,000.
Okay. Motion to approve item H with the dollar amount of $50,000 if we successfully get the grant.
Second.
What's that amount? Is that amount correct?
You've made PNC sit here all night long.
Yeah, no, and I apologize to you guys. Sitting on the corner, we should have expedited that a little bit. Future REAP grants, just out of curiosity, we can pursue any utilities,
Yes.
any utility, water, sewer,
Mhm.
and they'll award up to a couple $100,000 or something like
Yeah.
that, right?
So I think what I tell you, they give Kingfisher County
3.7 million.
Yeah.
They gave Kingfisher.
They're giving. That's what they got scheduled to give.
Oh,
Kingfisher
just
County.
in total, all the municipalities. I got you.
They're trying to
And-
spread it out to as many as possible.
And in the meeting, they told us don't go after $1 million unless you're putting 750,000 in.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Okay.
Item H is approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
thank you.
Item I is discussion and possible action to approve annual property and liability policy with OMAG for $111,370.
Just remember, it's gone up 25%. They hadn't redid their figures. Last year went up 15% from the year before. So this year is a significant jump from 15% to 25%. And that's why we're at 111,000. We were at 88.
We anticipated that though in our,
We anticipated that to happen because we did get notice last year when they gave the 15%, there would probably be a significant notice this year when we got our budget.
As I shared with Commissioner Tammy this morning, OMAG is a not-for-profit insurance company. Brittany and I met with their broker, our broker, last week on Friday, and he said because they're not-for-profit, they haven't been watching their expenses, and some communities have really cost them more, and so there are other communities that are having a higher than 25%, rate increase. We don't have a lot of lawsuits, we don't have a lot of issues, but we still got hit with about a 25% rate increase. This is still a good deal for municipalities, and we'd recommend approval.
do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve item I. Discussion and possible action to approve our annual property and liability policy.
Second.
Item I is approved. The next item on the agenda is item J, discussion and possible action to approve the reappointment of Judy Whipple to a one-year term as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Do you have?
We concur.
Okay. Okay.
We just staggered them out so that not everybody's reappointed at the same time.
And so in regards to all of these appointments, they've all agreed to this.
Yes.
Want to do it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we still have one vacancy. So if you know someone in the community that has an interest, we thought we had someone from the real estate arm, but he doesn't live in the city. You have to live in the city limits. And so if you're aware of a neighbor or someone that might have an interest in serving, there is one vacancy on the planning and zoning board.
We have a motion on item J.
I have a motion to approve item J for the appointment of Judy Whipple for 1 year.
Okay.
Planning and zoning.
Do we have a second? Thank you. So item J is approved. We'll move to item K as a discussion possible action to approve the reappointment of Eddie Payne and Reggie Redwine to two-year terms as members of the Planning and Zoning Board. Have any discussion? Eddie, you want to?
This is for 2 years, is that?
2
Yes.
years.
You said a double two there.
Yeah.
Well, there's two
Well,
people.
the two people, so,
Yeah.
yeah. Two-year terms.
Yeah.
TO, excuse me. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve item K for Eddie Payne and Reggie Redwine for 2 year terms on planning and zoning.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
How many are on the planning and zoning?
Is it 7, Linda? Is it 7 members you have?
It's supposed to be 7.
Yeah, and you've got 6 now. Yeah.
Why is there a difference in the terms?
Staggering them so that there will be a.
So not everybody.
I meant
is-
like, did they already do like 2 years, then they do one?
They all
and
did
they
3
do-
years, but we needed to stagger them out so they're all not done in 3 years. And
Right,
we gotta have a whole board of 7.
okay.
You really want to have
So
it
it's-
staggered so it rolls over. And a lot of times, especially on P and Z, you see them re-up for another 3 years.
Yeah.
But this is just getting us back on that regular cycle. So
Right.
in a
So-
year, we're only filling a couple of seats at a time.
Is that a change that you just make whenever necessary? Like it doesn't have to be?
Well, every 3 years it would come up. So you could, when,
However the city wants to
yeah,
handle it,
it's
is just how they
you
handle
all, the people generally, just like you all, serve until your replacement is seated. But even though that everybody's got terms until you seat somebody else, they just kind of stay there. But it would be a good process to get back in, because we've done it before. We just kind of got away from it for whatever reason, that every year around the end of the year or into the fiscal year, you'll have a couple of people come up and either reappoint them or say, hey, maybe it's time to have somebody new on there. Maybe
Yeah.
somebody wants to finally come off of that or
Yeah.
whatever.
it. So that's what I meant, since they're not an elected position, they're just
You-
appointed.
you all are
Then
the
we
ones that
basically, there's no statute on how their terms are done. We just,
Three-year
whatever.
3-year terms. They're
Well,
staggered.
so that
terms.
was my original
Yeah.
question.
Yes.
Do we have to change that statute somehow officially, or y'all just like city appointed people just change it? Because right now when we're doing is how we're changing it. Like that's a part of our
All
vote
of the
is
terms haven't
term
been
changing?
approved
Yeah,
by you all.
right.
So you all are setting.
That's what I'm
Here's
saying.
the first one.
Right.
Here's the next one. Here's the
That's
next
what
one.
I'm
And
saying.
here's who's
Okay.
filling each of those seats.
Right.
So you're complying with the statutory
So
rules
it's like
that are
when
out
we
there.
vote it, we're basically voting that of the term and the person.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Just clarify.
Item K was approved.
I'm sorry, yes it was.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I moved on,
Yep,
sorry.
thank you. Item L is the discussion possible action to approve the reappointment of Austin Evans, Neil Brown, and Gene Crosswhite to 3-year terms as members of the Planning and Zoning Committee. Planning and Zoning Board, excuse me. Do we have a motion?
I don't have an objection, but I have a question.
Okay.
So, the new he's get a new 2-year term, the next time, does it go 3?
Correct.
Right.
Yes, yes.
Yes, just to, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Just getting it all staggered again.
Yeah.
I make a motion for item L, discussion and possible action to approve the reappointment of Austin Evans, Neil Brown, and Jean Crosswhite to 3-year terms on the Planning and Zoning Board.
Do we have a second?
Second.
So then kind of back to all of those points, the next time it comes up, you'll be appointing somebody for that one that's gonna cycle open here in a year for a 3-year term. So it just constantly rolls in 3-year
It's
cycles.
like a do-si-do.
Exactly.
Item L is approved, so thank you guys for serving for sure. We appreciate that very much. And I think we're planning to get together here
Yes, we are.
in
Now
the
that
next
we've got-
month or two.
I would really like to appoint somebody in that vacancy before we do have that meeting, so that we're all on the same page and we don't have to redo that meeting. So if we could, I don't know what we need to do, but try to
You know,
do
as
that.
I said to the commissioners, if you know someone that would be interested, you know, we've tried to get a variety of people, and we were hoping to get somebody with real estate, you know, experience. They just need to be in the city limits. If you'll just forward their name, we'll reach out to them. We thought we had somebody, but he didn't live in the city limits. So we
Thank
want to
you.
give you a full call.
Appreciate it a lot. Next item on the agenda is item M, the city manager's report.
I'll keep my report short because
You
it's
should.
been a long meeting. I did want to thank you for all you've done. We talked a lot about bonds and financing and everything, and you've been very patient, and I appreciate that. We will have a workshop next Monday, October 6th, with David Weatherford. He has done workshops before. I worked with him when I was in Claremore, and he's semi-retired. Jared knows him well. He's a typical good attorney that talks about municipal issues, and I think we'll have some good training with him. We will have some food here, so that it'll just be a work session, but we'll meet at 5:30 on the 6th. We will have a groundbreaking at 4 o'clock for the fire station. The contractor will be there. We've extended invitation to everyone in the community to come. The police chief and the fire chief are going to work out parking arrangements. The chamber has been involved, and so it should be a great. We've got shovels and hard hats for all the elected officials, and so it'll be a nice event. The only other thing for November's meeting, I would like to move it from the 10th to the 17th. We've got a conflict on the 10th.
Just remember, I might be late getting back.
Yeah, no, I understand. Does the 17th work for everybody in November?
Yes.
It's just moving it a week.
Pulling up my calendar. I think I'm fine. Sure nothing's on here. Yes.
Okay. Don, does that work with you?
I don't put my phone in, so I'd say
Oh,
I have to.
Okay, all right. And I'll let Commissioner Mecklenburg know we're gonna move November's meeting, so. Mr. Mayor, that's all I have.
Jim,
He did all of that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, the Christmas party is December 4th. It will be at the Elks again. We'll have steak and chicken. One thing we're gonna do a little bit different this year is we are gonna have a raffle or some door prizes. We're gonna give tickets to everybody that comes and give away some gifts.
You said that's the 4th?
December 4th.
you want to tell them about the train depot?
Oh, go ahead, Brendy. I'm tired of talking.
I know. So.
Really?
I
He said
know.
what?
I know. So I've kind of taken it upon myself, and Barry and I are going to try to redo the train depot, the inside of the little part. We are partnering with the Chisholm Trail Votech Carpentry men and women in there, that class. So they are going to build us new cabinets but they're actually gonna go get it for us, paint it, and do all of it as a project for us. So hopefully it'll be wrapped up and done before winter night starts. They say they will, but it was actually a good thing. We've met with Gene Askey already,
Yep.
the teacher. We've gotten the measurements and everything, so we're gonna get a little facelift.
Our only cost will be the material. All
Yeah.
the labor is free.
What do they do in that little building outside of winter nights? Do we do anything out of
Which
it?
one?
The train depot.
Train depot.
They just take the tickets there.
Outside of that,
Oh.
is there anything that's,
So, we
Not
need
really?
to redo it.
yeah,
We
I was
do.
just curious.
But Jean said that could be another project for them in the spring, that carpentry class, cause some of the board deckings need to be replaced and some of the other stuff. So, and I told Jim, it's been there, what'd I tell you, 1980?
Yeah.
It
Oh,
needs
wow.
it needs a little TLC underneath and everything.
There is a bathroom
But it's
there.
only used for that.
Yes.
Is that
We
what
do,
it
for the
is?
4th of July when they run the train.
They use it too.
Yeah.
They do use it
Okay.
too, so it does need a little TLC. Nobody's done anything in there since 1980, I think,
Wow.
It
and
was
so,
built in the nineties when Kingfisher and Lights started.
so,
Like Freddie Schwartz and,
But it's for 30 days. It's used every night.
Oh, for sure.
oh,
You
wow.
know, they do
Yeah.
hot chocolate in there, a variety of things. So that's the last thing I'll say. They did approve Winter Nights did approve $7,500 for another Christmas tree. I'm flying up on Wednesday to select it in northern Michigan. The company that hauled it last year is doing it again pro bono, so it'll be another attraction for Kingfisher to have a nice Christmas tree. It'll be at least a 50-footer. I'm going to try to get one, maybe 55.
Are we still gonna do 2 different events, like a tree lighting and a?
Well, that's the chamber, yeah. It gets overshadowed by my tree. So anyway, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. It's been a great night.
Yeah, thank
Motion
you.
For adjournment.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
second,
Okay. Not so fast
Yeah,
over
not so
there,
fast.
Tammy.
We still got one more. We still got $10 million more dollars, Tammy.
Lee Corso, not so fast.
I know a 5-year-old that won't go to bed till I get home.
But this will be quick.
Yeah. We are adjourned. We'll reconvene as the Kingfisher Recreational Authority.
Oh, this one. That.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't do this one.
So the only item, well, you're not caught up, but getting close.
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you. Only item on the agenda is the minutes on the consent docket. Do we have a motion for approval of the minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Or maybe the consent
Or the
docket? Yeah,
consent docket.
yeah.
Second.
I got you. I got you.
Don, you want the honors?
See?
Y'all on the roll.
Motion for adjournment.
Well,
It's done, it's done.
so consent docket's
Great job.
approved.
Upstage
No
in the way.
scheduled business, so Jeff,
It's a wrap.
Motion for adjournment.
thank you.
Second.